Here's what's coming up on today's show. Could Steven Nelson get extended? Bleacher Report named him an extension candidate. Speaking of extensions, the Maliek Collins extension is official. Break down those numbers. And what is the latest with Kenyon Green? Is he going to be ready by training camp? We have an update to talk about later on today's show. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're almost to 4,000 subscribers. The more subs we get, the more content you get. So be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Let's talk about Steven Nelson because Bleacher Report put out an article basically outlining the top extension candidate on every single team. They said that Steven Nelson could get extended here in Houston. Here's what they said. The 30-year-old started 15 games in 2022 and played 94% of the defensive snaps in those games. He finished with 52 tackles, a sack, 7 passes defended, and an interception, while allowing an opposing passer rating of only 80.5 in coverage. It remains to be seen how Nelson operates under new head coach DeMeco Ryans and defensive coordinator Matt Burke. However, extending Nelson now would ensure that Houston keeps a quality veteran leader on its defense for the foreseeable future. That's what Bleacher Report thinks. What do you think? Do you think the Texans should extend Steven Nelson? Type E for extend or type P for pass. Down in the comment section, it's the pinned comment, so reply to it when you get a second. Steven Nelson put up these numbers his first season with the Texans. 52 tackles, 7 pass breakups, 1 interception, a 66.6 PFF grade. Pretty solid numbers across the board for Nelson, the 30-year-old corner. Taking a look at the Texans cornerback depth chart, you got Derek Stingley, Steven Nelson, Desmond King as your starters at that position. You also have Shaquille Griffin, so that's worth noting as well. That was a really good pickup in free agency. But I would agree with Bleacher Report. Having a veteran like Nelson around for the foreseeable future will certainly help this defense. I'm all for getting a Steven Nelson extension done. He was really solid in his first year at the Texans. He only has 1 year left on that 2-year deal that he signed last offseason. And he's a guy that can continue to mentor Derek Stingley and some of the young corners on this football team. I'm all for giving Nelson, let's say, a 2-year extension, lock him up for the next 3 years. I think that should be a priority for Nick Caserio here in the Texans. And you look at what Caserio's done this offseason, he's extended a lot of guys. I do believe Nelson could be next. CJ Stroud's a Texan. I think we're all excited about that. You can go get his jersey at chatsports.com/Stroud. Go and support QB1 by getting his jersey before the start of the season. His jersey is available right now at that link below, and that link is down in the comments and the description of today's video. The Maliek Collins extension is official. Didn't have a chance to talk about it in depth last week, but that news did break last week that he was going to sign an extension. That extension became official today. Let's take a look at the numbers here. The extension is for 2 years, $23 million, so just a little bit north of $11 million per year. $20 million guaranteed, and then a $10.5 million signing bonus. I think this is a good deal for Maliek Collins. I really do. You look at the extension numbers, he gets over $11 million per year. His signing bonus was over $10 million, and then the guaranteed money is what stood out to me. $20 million of the $23 million deal is fully guaranteed. That's a really good job by his agent to get him a really good deal. Maliek Collins should be very happy with that, and I think this is also the right decision made by the Texans to extend him. Taking a look at the defensive line depth chart, it's going to look a little bit different because you bring Sheldon Rankins to Houston. Will Anderson Jr., you draft him number 3 overall. I think he's going to be very productive in year 1. And then you have Jonathan Grenard, Jerry Hughes, Dylan Horton, Hassan Ridgeway. This Texans defensive line is going to be much better than it was last year. And I'm also happy to hear that Maliek Collins is locked up here for the next couple of seasons. The Rockets, they got the number 4 pick, so be sure to tune in to our NBA draft coverage on Thursday night. That's the link right there, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Our main channel is going live at 5 p.m. Central Time. You do not want to miss our coverage. No commercial breaks. We're going to be getting you in-depth analysis on every single pick, including Houston selections at number 4 and number 20 overall. That sublink is in the comments and the description of today's video. Producer Coop, can we get you on here for a second? Is Amin Thompson going to be the pick for the Rockets?
I think so.
Let's go.
I think it'll end up being Thompson.
Let's go. I'm a huge fan of Amin Thompson. You know, it's funny. I'm a diehard Rockets fan, as y'all probably figured. But when the draft lottery happened, I was in absolute shambles. I was just so depressed. That the Rockets not only didn't win the lottery, didn't get Wemby, but didn't even get a top 3 pick. So I spent that night watching Amin Thompson highlights. I'm like, I'm sold. This is the guy. Because he's crazy athletic. Now, I think from a shooting sense, he's got to get a little bit better at that. But the Rockets just really need a guy that can run the point at a high level. And I think Amin Thompson is going to make life easier for Jalen Green and, dare I say, maybe James Harden as well, if that happens to be the case. Harden come back to Houston. So be sure to subscribe to our main channel. We're going live Thursday night for the NBA draft. Let's talk about Kenyon Green, who is trying to get back healthy before training camp, but his status remains in doubt because the Texans guard underwent a knee procedure in March after his first NFL season. The 15th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft out of Texas A&M. Had a rough rookie season in terms of the numbers, 37.7 PFF grade. But he had a concussion right before the season started, and I just think that made it tough on Kenyon Green to get back on track after that. Here's what DeMeco Ryans said about Kenyon. We'll see where Kenyon is come training camp. For Kenyon, he has to be ready to go, and the work he puts in over the next few weeks, we'll see if he's ready to go out and compete. So DeMeco Ryans not committing necessarily to Kenyon Green being ready by training camp. And we got a problem if Green isn't ready by training camp, because if he's not ready by training camp, he's not going to get in those really important offseason reps to get him ready to roll here before the season. And there's just really not a whole lot of depth behind this guy. You got Beach, who's a UDFA, Michael Dieter, who played center with the Miami Dolphins the previous 2 years. He spent his rookie season at guard. That didn't go so well. So you just don't have really any depth at guard. You got Shaq Mason. He's outstanding. You just locked him up, giving him an extension as well. But I feel like the Texans should probably sign a guard here before the start of the 2023 season, especially if Green is not ready to roll. Should the Texans sign a guard? Type Y for yes or type N for no down in the comments section. Go down, chime in. Worth noting that Dalton Reisner is still out there, probably the best guard, not just guard, but offensive lineman that's still available in free agency. He's been a really solid left guard in his career, so that's worth noting. We might have to get you guys an updated free agent targets video in the near future. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're all about the Texans. We'll continue to have you covered with Texans news and rumors.